Cool.
Yeah, if this goes well, bro, I'm gonna just go ahead and pay for the StreamYard so we could go live basically on every platform at once. That might be easier.
Bet, that's fine. We'll get used to it.
Okay. So, shoot, we're live right now. Let's start with the Julio Jones question. Jansen Harris here with Sean Fowler.
Okay.
We doing what we're doing. This time we're going live. We're going to start doing that. Sean, let's get right to it. Julio Jones. Questions you came up with. Shoot, let's just keep it real. Is he a top 5 receiver ever?
Oh, ever. Okay, ever. Top 5 receiver of all time. Julio Jones. Man, it's close because from the get-go, you think of obviously Randy Moss, Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens. And see, when it goes to 4 to 5, you could put anybody, in that. You could possibly say Julio Jones. You can say Larry Fitzgerald, who I feel like is underrated. Julio Jones has over 840 receptions, 60 touchdowns. A lot of people don't really like the touchdowns. He's like, oh, if he's that special, how come he's not scoring as many touchdowns? You know what I mean? But I mean, at the same time, I mean, Julio's had other weapons on the team, Roddy White and Mohamed Sanu, Tony Gonzalez. So it's not just about touchdowns, it's about the receiving yards. And he has almost 13,000 receiving yards, as well, which is top. I feel like Julio's talent is top 5. I think you could put him in the top 5, but I still want to see a couple more seasons to solidify him being a top 5 receiver of all time. So at the end of the day, at the end of his career, I think he is a top 5 receiver. But as of right now, I'm probably having him towards 8 or 7.
Absolutely, Sean. I feel you on that. I agree with you because when I look at Julio Jones, I top 5, I don't know. Top 10, I give him top 10 because I look at number 1. And he's kind of before my time, but Jerry Rice, I think he's the best receiver ever when I look at it. 3-time Super Bowl champion, if you want to put that in there, Super Bowl MVP, 10 times first team All-Pro, just a monster. I think overall, his consistency in the 20 years he played, he's just the best. He wasn't much of a diva, but he was one of those guys who always brought it and played well. You feel me, Sean? So I got him at 1. Also, 13-time Pro Bowler. Can't leave that out. He has over 100 records. Okay, I don't even know all of them, but that's crazy. I read that. He has over 100 records. How is that possible? I don't know. Number 2, I got T.O., man. T.O., to me, is the second best of all time. People aren't going to give him his flowers all the time. That's all good, but I think Terrell Owens is second best of all time. We've seen what he could do injured. We've seen what he could do technically, and I love McNabb. I love McNabb, but he did it with no Hall of Fame quarterback. No Hall of Fame quarterback for Terrell Owens. Still put up numbers. It didn't matter who was quarterback.
Steve Young, we got to give him. It was early in his career, though. But
very early. All right, I'll give you Steve. He didn't have Steve for so long. You feel me? I'll give you Steve. I'll give you Steve on that one.
I agree with you.
But barely. All right, barely any. Jeff Garcia, McNabb, and I like McNabb. I love McNabb. Probably his biggest fan in Georgia. But McNabb, he didn't show up in big games. McNabb didn't show up in big games. He barely wanted to show up in the game against the Falcons, unfortunately. Randy Moss, number 3. He's a freak, man. Randy Moss is a freak. If Randy Moss didn't quit on some teams, man, he might even be higher on the list. I know he thinks he's the best ever. I don't think so. But Randy Moss definitely has my 3 spot. Number 4 might shock some people. I got Calvin Johnson, man. Calvin Johnson. Look at these numbers, Sean. 2011, 96 catches, over 1,600 yards, 16 touchdowns. 2012, 122 receptions, 1,964 yards. How do you only get 5 touchdowns? I don't know, Sean. It's crazy. I don't know how that happened, but I have him as my number 4 receiver of all time. And number 5, you might be mad at this one. Let's go back to 2002. We'll make a video about this a little bit later on. Marvin Harrison. I gotta love Marvin Harrison. His record just got broken last year by Michael Thomas. 143 catches, over 1,700 yards. He had 11 touchdowns that season. Just awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's my top 5 list right there. How do you feel about that list?
No, I like it, Jansen. I mean, again, Marvin Harrison, I think he's a severely underrated receiver. He had the most receptions in the season before Mike Thomas broke it in 2019. You know what I mean? So I think because Marvin Harrison wasn't able type, but he just played on the field. He did what he had to do. I mean, Marvin Harrison, I'm glad you put him in your top 5. You know what I mean? Because I think he gets again. I think he's really underrated. So Julio Jones, I'm not mad at it at all. You know why? Because I said he's 7 or 8. You know, around there. I think if Julio, by the time his career is over, I give him about 3 to 4 more years. If he can continue to stay healthy, I think Julio Jones definitely deserves to be in the top 5. You know, if he's number 6, that's cool. But I mean, Marvin Harrison, Calvin Johnson. I will say this, Jansen. I feel like with Calvin Johnson. Uh, is he better? Why do you have him better than Julio? Let me just ask you that real quick.
It might be preference, and I think if Calvin Johnson played more years, he probably would be. I don't want to say he'd probably be higher on this list, but I think his numbers overall would be better. But I could see why people don't like Calvin Johnson that high on the list because he stopped playing football at 30. Was there a major injury there? I don't remember him having a major injury. He just said, F it, I'm gone. Excuse my language.
Yeah.
He's just, I'm gone.
Yeah. Some of the Barry Sanders. But I mean, I respect the list, though. I respect the list. I can't be mad at it. I mean, those are definitely, they all deserve to be top 5. Julio Jones, I think a couple more years he might be top 5 all time.
Let me ask you something, Sean. Let's go back to Julio. We know Julio Jones wasn't healthy a lot last season, played in a lot of games. He was nicked up. Numbers went down. Let's say 9 games healthy played. Do you see Julio Jones in 2021 being fully healthy and playing a whole season, Sean?
I mean, to be honest, like if we're going to recent history, I can't say he's going to play every game. You know what I mean? Julio Jones still had 51 receptions, 771 yards, and 3 touchdowns last year. I mean, that's not bad to play, you know, kind of somewhat half of the season, you know. So he's still productive. He's out there on the field, especially his connection on Matt Ryan. However, if you're asking, is he going to be healthy the whole season? No, I don't think so. I think he might miss a couple games. You know, the NFL season is a grueling season, you know, and it's going to be tough. But I still think when Julio's on the field, his presence and his, you know, his work out, his mindset, man, he helps guys get open like a Calvin Ridley who's been there for 2 years now, going on his 3rd year or might be going on his 4th year, I should say. You know, Russell Gage, these guys are continuing to get better because, again, Julio's there. Now, Julio doesn't have to play. He can still be a coach on the field somewhat, being that mentor and still being an elite receiver just because of his presence. So, you know, so he's going to be impactful whether he is or isn't on the field, I believe, for the Falcons, but definitely he helps them be better. But I think he's going to complete the full 16 games, so I'll say that.
Yeah, Julio, that's a question going in, and that's why there was people saying, hey, will they get traded to a team like the Patriots? And we know the Patriots, they love not paying for players, but I would like that, especially if you are, which famous fee, shout out to him, I'll be on the show tomorrow, and you guys are Cam apologists, guys who think Cam Newton is better than how I think he is, and that's debatable. That I agree to an extent saying, okay, give Cam some receivers, Jansen, then judge him. Okay, I get that argument, even though I think he's washed up, but a team like that was maybe looking at Julio Jones if he was available. So I don't know about the health. I'm just assuming Julio Jones is going to be healthy, but I'm assuming as well the numbers are going to go down as Calvin Ridley rises up. I don't know if we're going to get top 3 in the world Julio Jones anymore. I hope so, but the health has been an issue. Julio Jones has been in and out the lineup. If it's not an ankle, if it's not a knee, if it's not a hamstring, I need to see if Julio Jones is still healthy. I think Julio could still ball out. I'm not going to sit here and act like Julio Jones isn't a Pro Bowl caliber receiver, but his days as being the number 1 best receiver in the league, he has to prove it to me, Sean. He has to prove it. I want to see what this Falcons offense is going to look like under Arthur Smith. This is a new reign. Dan Quinn's gone. So we'll see what happens. Dimitroff is gone. Okay, so Dirk Cutter, people here in Atlanta, they love blaming Dirk Cutter for all the offensive issues. He's gone as well, too. So we'll see how this Falcons offense looks. And
Most
any more thoughts
on
Julio Jones and the season potentially could have?
I mean, again, like I said, if Julio's on the field, man, I think he's always impactful for the Falcons. You still have to watch him because he still has some good, you know, he still has decent enough speed to get open. Obviously, he has, for the most part, he has sure hands. He's had some big drops in past games, but I mean, at the same time, he still has great hands. And again, I think when you get this age and you're this great as a receiver, it's the IQ, it's the knowing when they get open, it's knowing how to get open, and you know the certain routes that you have, and you know he's more than still, I think, a possession receiver. I think he can still take it to the house if need be. So I think Julio Jones, I think he's as of right now, if I'm ranking him as a receiver, I think he's a top 10 receiver. I won't give him the top five because the best ability is availability. And Julio Jones missed half the season last year, but his talent still speaks for himself. And I'm excited to see what the Falcons can do, man.
Absolutely. Sean Fowler, guys, go follow him on all social media platforms. He always has these great takes. Go ask him some questions. Hit him up on Facebook. I know he's always on Facebook. We go back and forth. We do these shows all the time. Sean, let's keep it moving. Shoot, I'm reading off all your questions. Which quarterback has the most pressure on him headed into 2021?
Man, I think it's the Colts quarterback, Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz to me, I think he has the most pressure, man, because let's not forget, Jansen, 2017, even though it was 4 years ago, he was the MVP favorite before he got hurt against Los Angeles Rams in LA, and what happened? Nick Foles, your guy, St. Nick, came in, led the Eagles to the Super Bowl, was Super Bowl MVP, and it was like, is it question marks who's going to be the starter next year? Nah, it's Carson Wentz, it's our guy. 2018 comes around. What happens again? Carson Wentz, 21 touchdowns, I think like 6 interceptions that year. Decent year, coming off that leg injury. But what happens? He gets hurt again. Nick Foles saves the day, leads them to the playoffs, ends up winning the game against Chicago, the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field on a Saturday night. And then the next game was up against the New Orleans Saints. They ended up losing that game, but they were that close to reaching the NFC Championship. What happens? Carson Wentz. Okay, we got to get Nick Foles out of here. But people are starting to make a shrine out of him. You know what I mean? Is he our guy? But we don't want to have this presence of somebody looking over Carson Wentz's shoulder. So what happened? Nick Foles leaves. Carson Wentz again, 2019, leads them to the playoffs. He had a decent season at the end of the year, last 4 games, but ends up getting hurt, loses against Seattle Seahawks. So again, James, I'm just giving a revisionist history. I'm just trying to.
No, I understand.
I'm giving him a reason why I think he has the most pressure. 2020 comes. I've been in the Hurts train this whole time, Jansen. You know what I mean? I've been saying he needs Carson Wentz is stinking, put Jalen Hurts in. What happened? Carson Wentz was stinking. Jalen Hurts comes in. They won against the Saints. You know what I mean? They compete. They good with Jalen Hurts. They're different. I saw what you said as well with these guys, and Adam, on this platform, saying how Jalen Hurts, it's the same weapons. He looks better. You know what I mean? He just does. So Carson Wentz, him being it seemed like he was the next big thing for the Philadelphia Eagles. Going. He's going, and he's going to the Colts, and for him, if it doesn't work out this year, he's looking like he did before with the Eagles, like he's looked the last couple of years. I hate to even bring it up, but his career might be in jeopardy as well. I'm just feeling that way, and based off his health, his history. So I feel like coming into this season, Jansen, just based off his recent struggles, I don't hope the worst for him, but I feel like Carson Wentz has the most pressure in 2021.
Sean, it's hard to disagree with everything you said because everything is facts, man. Carson Wentz, his career is in jeopardy if he doesn't get the job done. You got a top defense. You got the weapons. Frank Reich, now the offensive coordinator who was there in 2017 when you had your most successful season. Now he's your head coach. There is no excuse. You forced your way out of Philly. You got Doug Peterson fired. You feel me? It's crazy. You got him fired. You got the money. You forced your way into the AFC. Now you have, and Jonathan Stewart, I know you love that, over 1,100 yards last year. People didn't think he could do it. He did big things. I'm expecting Marlon Mack to be healthy and get some carries and spell him, even though to me he's capable of being a franchise starting running back, if we even going to use that term anymore. So the weapons are there. I think T.Y. Hilton could be an elite receiver next year. I know he's kind of had an off year or two, but I think this would be a big year for him. But the pressure is on Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz needs to deliver. Carson Wentz needs to take this team to the playoffs, at least the playoffs. This team needs to make the playoffs. This team needs to make a deep playoff run, Sean. There is no excuses. He has the coach he wants. He has the money.
Right.
He has the defense. There is no excuse. Now, let me throw another quarterback out there. Let's go to the Mats real quick. Matthew Stafford. There's a lot of pressure on Matthew Stafford because a lot of people in Detroit are just like the people in Atlanta. Well, if Stafford had this, if Stafford had that, well, now you got Sean McVay as your head coach. Okay, offensive genius. You got Snead as your general manager. Mister, I'll give up all my first-round picks to get the players I want. You've got a number one ranked defense. What's not to like? You have the receivers. Hopefully the running game is going to be there next year. So I think there's a lot of pressure on Matthew Stafford. We're really going to see what Stafford's made of because he has the weapons. He has the defense, the number one ranked defense. There's no excuses. He has everything people in Atlanta here are crying that Matt Ryan doesn't have. Ryan doesn't have an offensive line. Ryan doesn't have this. He doesn't have that. And if I want to throw a third name in there, let's continue with the Mets.
Go ahead.
Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan needs to have a big year because people are saying, oh, it's the coaching sucks. Offense coordinator sucks. I always hear that excuse.
Yeah.
But now you got Arthur Smith coming in the building. The Falcons, they might trade back and get some more defensive help.
Mm-hmm.
Or they might get Penei Sewell at number 4, the premier left tackle, even though a couple years back they got 2 offensive linemen in the first round. They might go ahead and do that, which is more support for Matt Ryan. So those are the 3 quarterbacks to me, Sean. They have the most pressure. They have to deliver. These guys have to deliver. And if you want to be – it's crazy, too, because I thought he had a pretty good season, but he's another 50-50 guy, if you want to throw him in there. Kirk Cousins, guys like this. Every quarterback who's pretty good, who does have a championship, the pressure for the most part is on you. We could even talk about, if you even want to go a little bit deeper, from all the talking and stuff, and we're probably going to segue right into it, let's talk about your boy Russell Wilson.
Okay, let's do it.
Pressure, too. He's doing a lot of talking, a lot of chatter. I don't know if this is purposely he's doing this. I don't know if he really feels this way, Sean. You got to break this one down. But Russell Wilson's been doing a lot of talking. I know the questions were kind of directed and shaped a certain way, but he's answering. This word that he's not getting along with Pete Carroll, I don't know. I think there's pressure on him, too, wherever he plays. Wherever he plays, there's pressure, too. So to sum it up, let's go Carson Wentz number 1 for me. I didn't even know we were supposed to make a list, but I'm making a list. Carson Wentz number 1. Stafford number 2, Ryan number 3, Wilson number 4. Now, if you want to throw a 5 in there, wherever Deshaun Watson lands, if he gets traded or not, he could be my number 5 guy.
Yeah.
He needs to win too. Anytime you demand a trade, you got to win. Whether you stay with the team or you're traded. That's just how I look at it. So, Sean, let's segue into that. Do you believe, and I know you were more of the level-headed one with this, you read into it, you're not an overreacting guy. How do you feel this Russell Wilson situation will play out? Do you think the rumors are true? Do you think it's just all publicity and people are trying to make it more of a story than it is?
Well, Jansen, we both listened to the Russell Wilson interview with Dan Patrick, and I feel like the media somewhat blown it a little bit out of proportion. You were there as well, because when I first heard the interview, and I'm not going to dissect the interview, that's not the question you asked, but I think it does come from. I think Russ is frustrated, but I don't think he necessarily threw his teammates under the bus. That's not what I heard from the interview. I heard he said, we all got to get better. I have to get better, as well. I can't hold the ball too long, but at the same time, when I do hold the ball so long like that, big plays happen. So Russ put accountability for himself first. I didn't hear him. He said we got to get better up front as well. On another question, I didn't hear him throwing it. I mean, that's true. He didn't name out anybody, particularly, but. At the end of the day, when you're not winning championships, like, they have players there, Bobby Wagner, Jamal Adams, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Russell Wilson. You have talent on the team, which can lead you to a Super Bowl. And especially when you're familiar, like Bobby Wagner, Russell Wilson, they were there for the first 2 Super Bowls. The first one they won, the second one they lost. You expect to always at least reach that. You know what I mean? So I'm sure it's frustrations in Seattle, but I don't think, again, he said he didn't want to trade, you know what I mean? But he did say that as well, he did. It's almost like I'm not even going to use that example, but he did say as well that if I were to get traded, Dallas, Chicago. So at the same time, and also in that interview, Jansen, he was like, I want to play Seattle forever. But, it's real life. Hey, sometimes things just don't work out. So at the same time, I feel like Russ is like, hey, I mean, I've done what I can do. You know what I mean? If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I'm not a rookie hoping to finish my contract. I am the Seattle Seahawks. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? So yeah. Go
Hey,
ahead.
Sean, I'm glad you said that. This is one thing I do like about Russell Wilson. Russ isn't the Russ I thought he was. I thought he was the Russ, passive. Oh, well, it's the team thing. Remember everybody used to say, oh, he's a kiss up to Pete Carroll? Remember when people used to say that, Sean? Even some of his teammates, when they were winning, his teammates would come out and say that. And to me, that's hate. I can say what I want to say. We can say what we want in the group chat. But when your teammates, that is some hate. That's hate, bro. When you're winning, that's hate. But Russell Wilson now, I feel like he's taking control. Last season, 40-something touchdown passes. The year before that, he had probably his best year as a pro.
35 touchdowns, right?
Yep. He had his best year as a pro, even though he's second in that MVP race. And coming into this season for a long time, maybe not a long time, for like 6 weeks, he was the leading candidate for the MVP every day on ESPN. You're seeing touchdown passes thrown. Russell Wilson, MVP. Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, Lockett. I don't even like Lockett that much, but Lockett making big plays. Running game is there. And then all of a sudden the narrative changed. Team starts losing. Russ starts getting sacked more.
Yeah.
Russ starts turning the ball over. Now the offensive line is bad. Now people are talking. Now there's no running game. Now the defense can't. Well, maybe the defense couldn't stop anybody the whole season anyways.
Yeah.
But what's the point of Jamal Adams being there? He got to cover somebody too.
That's true.
Sorry, Jamal. And it ain't personal, Jamal. It ain't personal. I know you came for the Jets. Appreciate it. But like I said, the narrative changes. Russell Wilson, I don't think he's going to get moved. I think him and Pete Carroll are going to work this thing out, whatever, if there's an issue. Because you know how media people are when it comes to quarterbacks. People make up stories. Everything is a narrative. So if we're going to go down the narrative path, here's my narrative. Russell Wilson just wanted people to know I am the alpha in this situation. This is my team.
Yeah.
I'm no soft guy. I thought I was. Oh, this team that. No, we got to get better. He put his team on blast. I want a deep playoff run. I seen what Tom Brady did in the Super Bowl in my conference, in the NFC. That's supposed to be us. Yeah. And I think Russell Wilson really feels that way. Russell Wilson feels like his team needs to be playing in the Super Bowl. So they need to make it happen. And everybody talks about the cap, no money, quarterbacks get all this money. That's what the GM's there for. Figure it out. Mm-hmm. Figure it out. I don't know if you got to get guys on the veteran minimum. Russ got to get more money back. He has to make more of his money maybe in bonuses so to show up on the cap. I don't know. But they need to figure out a way to get a pass rush. They need to figure out a way that Russ isn't turning the ball over. I need to know that.
Yeah.
Because there's two different stories here, and I'm conflicted, Sean, and you got to give some perspective for me. Is Russell Wilson, because at times looks like he's holding on to the ball too long, same problem, but not as bad as Matt Ryan, who holds on the ball too long, or is it that the rush is coming too fast? Is he holding on to the ball too much, Sean? Or is it the offensive line is so bad that he has to run around all the time?
I think it's a mix of both, Jason. That's why Russ said it himself. He said, I gotta get the ball out fast. I gotta get it out sooner. But at the same time, it's like, when you hold on to the ball, especially when you're a quarterback who has those legs, it's just weird that, the guys who are usually mobile, they tend to get sacked a little bit more, which is ironic. You would think you would evade everything, but they kind of run into sacks. So I think it's a mix of both. But at the same time, it's like that's what makes Russell Wilson so special with it, because he can extend plays. He can stay in the pocket for almost nearly 10 seconds by running around and finding DK Metcalf down the field. You know what I mean? Or Tyler Lockett or David Moore. So I think it's a mix of both. But at the same time, when you see these games, and that's why I wasn't surprised that the Los Angeles Rams won the game, because when you watch, anytime they play the Rams, who has a winning record against Russell Wilson, the only team in the division that have that record, they get pressured. Aaron Donald up front. The Dante Fowler used to be there. Leonard Floyd, they get pressure on him, and it's when he starts dropping back. So yeah, when you're getting sacked by Donald and stuff, you probably tend to hold on to the ball too much because where's he at? Now I got to evade. I got to do my thing. So at the same time, I think it's a mixture of both, man. I think it's the offensive line, yes, and I also think it's on Russ as well. And like you said, the interceptions. I'll be honest, I'm a huge Russell Wilson fan. You know this, Jansen. But at the same time, Russ, he was not a top 3 quarterback for half the season last year. He wasn't. You got to give it to Patrick Mahomes. You got to give it to Aaron Rodgers. You got to give it to Josh Allen. As far as the second half of the season, he still was decent. He wasn't horrible, but he wasn't. He looked like typical Russ. Like, okay, like you said, first 3 quarters, his stats is in there. Then the fourth quarter, he comes and does this stuff. He's amazing. So second half of the season, Pro Football Focus, he was ranked 14th best. Now, I don't think he was that necessarily second half of the year, but he was more of Russell Wilson, not this Russ, not dangerous, not his nickname, not Mr. Unlimited. So Russell Wilson, he has to get better as well. I'll be honest. He didn't play great. He played solid, not great, the second half of the year. So I think it's a mixture of both as far as your question, Jansen. Great question. I think it's a mixture of the offensive line and him holding on to the ball too long.
Okay, let's transition to a guy who has 7 Super Bowl victories. He is 7-3 now in Super Bowls. He is 43 years old, and he threw 40 touchdowns and 12 interceptions this season. Most importantly, when it came time for him to show leadership and the team to win, I know we both don't like this, but Tom Brady and his teams prevail. All of a sudden, the defensive line is rushing, getting to the quarterback. We see Barrett, he's playing great. Sue, he turned back the clock. How ironic. Devin White, you saw everything he did. If you go break down the film, he was amazing. Could have easily been the MVP if it wasn't for Tom Brady, his popularity and what he was able to do, play a good, clean game. We seen Leonard Fournette turn up, and he looked like the Leonard Fournette that went in the top 5 in the draft in 2017. That's the Leonard Fournette we've seen. I love seeing it personally. You know me, I love the running back. So to see him do that, see him turn up in the Green Bay game and then the Super Bowl, guys just show up. You see, even Antonio Brown, our guy, Antonio Brown scores a touchdown. Grunk, he did his thing. Sean, do you look now at Tom Brady, we put this in perspective, as the best athlete ever, saying all things I said, 7 championships. Is he the best ever now?
I think he should be at least a consideration, Jansen. And I say that because when you think of the NBA is more of it's a team game, but it's more individual. You know what I mean? We can see them. It's only 10 people at the court at the same time at the most. You know what I mean? 5 versus 5. Michael Jordan is the first person you might think of. LeBron James. You can go down a list. But football is such a team sport. You don't really. I mean, Brady's the face of the NFL, but is he the face of the whole league as far as all time? I feel like there hasn't really been a face. But seeing this is the great statistics you laid out, man. 7 Super Bowls. You know what I mean? It's hard for people to get to 4. To get to 4, not even 1 4, to get to 4, to get to 3. To get to any. So the fact that he's won 7, 7 out of 10, Jansen. I mean, it's like he's toying, man. And I got to give you credit as well, Jansen. I hate to give you so much credit, because we try to debate. But you were right. He came to the NFC. He said, "F it." Excuse my language too. I'm winning the Super Bowl, COVID or not. I'm winning it. It doesn't matter which team I'm on. I don't care if it's NFC. He did it. He won the Super Bowl. So at that point, man, he's the best football player to me of all time. I feel like he's the most dominant I've seen in any position, Tom Brady. And I know it's a team sport, and maybe because maybe it's just too recent, you know what I mean? But I got to give it to Tom Brady. I think he should at least be in consideration with the Tiger Woods, the Serena Williams, the Floyd Mayweather. I feel like Muhammad Ali's, Michael Jordan's, LeBron, Kobe's. You know what I mean? I feel like he should at least be in consideration for the best athlete of all time. Consideration at least.
I just want to say this: Tom Brady. I'm gonna tell you who he's better than right now off rip. Tom Brady's better than Michael Jordan. He's better than Michael Jordan. Mike never won 7. Mike never won 7.
Ooh, I like that.
Mike wasn't this good at 43 years old. Let's get this out of the way right now. Tom Brady's better than Michael Jordan. Tom Brady's better than Michael Jordan. Just get used to it.
I just have to say that, man.
Oh yeah, that's next. He's better than LeBron James. The narrative is LeBron, because of how popular he is, and guys like me and other guys, we talk about how great he is so much, we think and he tries to even do it himself. He tries to put himself in Tom Brady's category, like they're on the same level. And people are crazy to think that either. He's better than LeBron James too. That's to me, that's duh. He's better than LeBron. He's better than Michael Jordan. He didn't retire early. He went to a whole different team. Year 1, won a championship. LeBron didn't do that. Michael Jordan didn't do that. When I look at Tom Brady, he's Bill Russell. He's Bill Russell. He's not MJ. He's not LeBron, who, of course, we love the guards. We love the small forward. We love all the fancy dunks. We love all that good stuff. And I don't blame it. The shoe sales are up. But when I look at Tom Brady's better than these guys. It's year after year after year. Yeah. And really, in all reality, remember, he tore the ACL. He didn't play that season. So that's even less years. He is 43 years old, Sean, and he's still going. LeBron, like 36 years old. LeBron has to catch Tom Brady. LeBron isn't 40 years old. They're trying to make it seem like LeBron and Brady are like the same guy. I don't know what narrative ESPN be trying to create.
Right.
And listen, this is coming from a LeBron guy. I'm a LeBron defender, if you want to put it that way. But it's ridiculous to look at Tom Brady and not say he's the best. When it might be a little debate in my head, but I'm going to put him over Floyd Mayweather Jr. as well, too. And I love Floyd Mayweather Jr., but he gets the nod over Floyd Mayweather Jr. He gets the nod. Because Tom Brady, under any circumstance, against any team, top competition, he just beat this generation's best quarterback.
Yeah.
In an AFC championship game with no receivers, on the road. And then he goes to the NFC. Look what I could do. Takes Bruce Arians, who, remember his attitude in the beginning of the year, and plays Andy Reid, beats Andy Reid yet again. Beat him in a Super Bowl, beat him in an AFC championship game. He just loves doing that. And this is Andy Reid, who he proved me wrong, won a championship, got this young quarterback and Patrick Mahomes trying to win a second. He stops him from doing that. Same thing with Russ. Russ was trying to get that second. He stopped him. Same thing with Kurt Warner. He tried to get that second. He stopped him. And I don't even like Tom Brady. That's just what he does. Tom Brady, if we're comparing him to anybody, it needs to be Bill Russell. He's in a league of his own. I know you don't like the Bill Russell comparison, but Tom Brady might be the best ever. He might be up there. Throw Tiger's name up there. Throw LeBron's name up there. MJ, you know how I feel about that. I just broke it down. Throw Floyd Mayweather's name up there. Muhammad Ali's name up there. That's the category Tom Brady's. It's a big debate, though. At the end, it's a big debate, but he's in the conversation. He was in the conversation after he won 5, but maybe even 4, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Jerry Rice is in the conversation. Lawrence Taylor's in the conversation. You ask me, he was unstoppable getting to the quarterback. Reggie White, guys like, and nobody's going to say that, but guys like that, they always get to the quarterback.
That's true.
These guys in like year 2 or 3 getting like 17 sacks, 18 sacks.
Yeah.
That's like old school football, though.
No, definitely, man. I mean, I definitely think Tom Brady, if we're going to go individually, when you pick these sports, the best player in that sport, I got to say Tom Brady. You know what I mean? It's a team sport. I get it. Brady does need help. He needs people to catch the ball. But at the same time, it's like, at this point, he's a common denominator. You know what I mean? 7 chips, hey, you got to get the edge Brady. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm fine with the comparison. It's a Boston comparison. Bill Russell, Celtics. You know what I mean? Tom Brady played for New England most of his career. So I like the comparison, Jansen. But no, man, I definitely think Brady deserves to be the best athlete of all time, man. I mean, at least consideration. I'll say that.
Speaking of one of the guys I just said he's better than, Sean, let's talk about your team, the Los Angeles Lakers. They are second currently in the West. They are 24-11. They have the best conference record in the Western Conference, 17-6, better than what the Jazz are. And they are the best team in the road in the Western Conference at 13-4. Is there any concern that they're in trouble without Anthony Davis? We know that they lost, 4 straight games with Anthony Davis out, Sean, and people were already hitting me up because I thought they would be fine. But now they got 2 straight victories. What's your assessment right now on the Lakers? How do you feel about them?
Well, they got 2 victories because Dennis Schroeder came back as well. He's just another guy. He's one of their starters. When you don't have both your starters, even if you still have a Kyle Kuzma, KCP, Marcus Gasol, what's left of them, and it's going to be tough to win games. And the NBA is going to be better every year, man. We see teams in the West. Like you said, Utah Jazz is the number 1 seed. Coming into this year, nobody would predict that halfway through the season. You know what I mean? No one predicted that. But the fact that they're the number 1 seed, hey, teams are getting better. So having Schroeder back, I feel like it's another guy who can help facilitate, obviously playing the point guard position. We know LeBron's a point forward. He can distribute the ball. That's one of his best assets, as an NBA player, is him with his assists. He can still do that, But I remember I watched the game a couple nights ago. They played against the Golden State Warriors, and they blew them out, man. I turned off by halftime. The third quarter, it was a blowout. But I've seen two 2 to 3 straight possessions, LeBron didn't even touch the ball offensively. And it's weird because it's like LeBron's always facilitating the ball, but seeing a Dennis Schroeder, have that role as a point guard, you know what I mean? Him actually, giving the guys like KCP and Wesley Matthews and those guys, Kyle Kuzma, it was you could tell LeBron's like, okay, now I get some time to rest a little bit. So to answer your question, man, I feel like with the asset of Shooter coming back and being healthy, I feel like they're not in trouble without Anthony Davis. But of course, if they want to win a championship or even make the finals, they need him coming to postseason. But Anthony Davis is expected to be back after the All-Star break, which is this weekend, I believe. So he's expected to be back, man. They'll give him a full month rest, and the Lakers are still the best team in the West to me. They're fully healthy.
Here's my take on this, Sean. And those 4 losses, that concerned me a little bit. It made me think, okay, LeBron James this year isn't the MVP, or he's not the MVP. I know I sent you something about Giannis. Giannis putting up numbers. Nobody's talking about him, the MVP. I know how you feel about Giannis. It needs to be playoff Giannis now. But those losses, back to LeBron, those losses, to me, it's on him. It's on him. It was on Frank Vogel. They need to find creative ways to get guys involved. They need to get guys involved. They need to hold Kyle Kuzma accountable. Kyle Kuzma, and people are saying I'm stuck on this. Laker fans are saying I'm stuck on this because they took the expectations, Sean, of where he should be. Remember, they kept him for a reason. We're not trading Kyle Kuzma. Kuzma's supposed to be the 3rd star. The 3rd star, Sean. That's what he was expected to be. And he's not the 3rd star. Why is that? That's what upsets me, Sean. And that I understand about your ball club. Is why is he not the 3rd star? Kuzma offensively should be better. And I blame LeBron for not holding him accountable, GM LeBron, and I blame Frank Vogel.
Yeah.
But I also give Frank Vogel credit and LeBron James and this Lakers team for being so good on the road, showing that, hey, Utah's a threat. They play defense. They knock down the 3-point shot. Offensively and defensively, they're playing well. Donovan Mitchell needs to get more credit, which he's not. Rudy Gobert needs to get more credit. We know he's not that much of a factor on offense, but defense, he's doing his dang job. Extremely high level, extremely well. So we have to give this team credit. I didn't even mention all the role players. Don't make me go into it. It's going to take a long time. But that team is balling. And if the Lakers, who at times I doubt if they're the best team right now, they need to play complete games. Because Anthony Davis, what I'm starting to see is what happened in New Orleans a little bit. Here's that knee injury. Then there's the ankle. Then there's this. Then there's 10 games here, 5 games there.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it. Luckily, he didn't get hurt last year. He was healthy at the right time.
He was.
But what I'm starting to see now is, and we'll see how these games play out, is Anthony Davis the MVP or is it LeBron James? Is Anthony Davis the best player on this team?
Not yet.
Or is it LeBron James? Is the narrative that LeBron is the MVP or should be the MVP, him and Joel Embiid, some of the names I'm hearing thrown out there? Is the media pushing this more than what it is? Because if this team, Sean, with Anthony Davis out, I'm hearing 4 weeks. I read something today that said 4 weeks. If he's out 4 more weeks and this team goes from the 2nd seed to the 6th seed, that tells me a lot about this Lakers team. And maybe Anthony Davis should be top 3 MVP if that happens. But if they could keep the 2nd seed, maybe even grab the 1st seed with him out, play some team ball, trust more KCP hitting those shots, seeing what Matthews is doing, seeing what Schroeder's doing. And he's always been able to create his shot wherever he was. He was an offensive guy with the Thunder, and he's shown he's capable with the Lakers. Matter of fact, he might be our 3rd guy.
He is.
Yeah, him and Harrell, toss up right there. Harrell, I think, has been playing well. I would like to see more defense out of him, though. Yeah. But the thing to me is Kuzma. If Kuzma could play even 75% of what everybody was saying he would be, including Pelinka, including the whole coaching staff, including Sean, if Kuzma could just be 75%, you guys will be okay. It might be delusional, Sean. Can Kuzma raise his level of play? Do you see him growing as a player?
Honestly, Jensen, I have, man. I mean, from at least the defensive end, he used to be the type of player where if his shot isn't falling, and defensively, he might have attitude. He's going to get a little lazy, you know what I mean? But I've seen him make more effort on defense, and again, he's only averaging 11 points per game. That's not a lot, but that has to take into account, like you said, I mean, he was supposed to be the third best player on the team. You know, you bring in a shooter who's a veteran, who has more experience, who's the point guard. He's better than Kuzma. He just is, you know. So when Anthony Davis was out, or he has been out, Kuzma has his moments. He does seem to be more consistent, but at the same time, I feel like he's not necessarily being looked at as the third option. I feel like he's been looked at as just a role player. And you know, he comes off the bench. You know, I want to see him. I want to see him score 15 to 20 points a game. You know what I mean? But at this rate, how they're winning, man. And again, the 4 games was a concern, but that's why I brought up a Dennis Schroeder at first, because he was out those 4 games too. It wasn't just Anthony Davis. Now all of a sudden when he comes back, they start winning games again. You know, LeBron James, yes, against the Wizards. You know, I like LeBron. I respect LeBron. He's a legend. But at the same time, he has to continue to close as well, because the Lakers don't have necessarily a for sure close. We saw against the Washington Wizards. He missed the free throw to basically win the game. LeBron. And it's not about going to get on LeBron, but at the same time, as far as the concerns on a 4-game losing streak, it's still things they can capitalize and be better at. But I do feel like, as far as without Anthony Davis, I like where we're headed, because again, he's supposed to be back after the All-Star break, which is again this week. But Shooter's back. LeBron had a great game against the Golden State Warriors. You know, he's looking more consistent for the 3-point shot, at least from that game. So I'm not too concerned with them without AD, mostly because Shooter's back, and I feel like they're trying to get that confidence back. Blowing out Golden State isn't an easy thing. You still got Kerr, you know, as the coach, Curry, Andrew Wiggins, Abreu and those guys, Draymond Green, and you blew them out by like 20. So I like where the Lakers are at right now, Jansen. 2-game winning streak. They play tonight against the Suns as well. So I'm excited to see, man.
How impressed are you, Sean? And I brought up a little bit earlier when I started this conversation about the Lakers. 13-3 on the road. Not many teams are talking about that. Do you feel comfortable, or are you surprised how good the Lakers have been able to play on the road this season?
I mean, you take it with a grain of salt, because you know the road game, there's no fans, so you know you're just playing in different arenas. But at the same time, I mean, you still got to travel. You know what I mean? It could be a psychological thing, a mental thing. We got to go to Utah tomorrow night. We got to go to Phoenix tomorrow night. You know what I mean? So I mean, but when you're led by, you know, you got a lot of veteran players. You know, the Lakers don't really have a super young team. You know, you got a Schroeder, LeBron, AD, so and defending champs. So you expect them to be ready, prepared to play. So I mean, that is a great record. You said 13-3, I believe. So I mean, they're doing what they need to do. But at the same time, it's what you expect the Lakers to do. You expect them to at least be, you know, top 2, top 3 team in the Western Conference year in and year out when you have LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So I mean, it's cool. You know, I'd rather see them win games at home in LA more consistently as well. Although they won 2 in a row now in LA, and they play tonight again against the Phoenix Suns. But you know, the road record is cool. It's cool, but it's about what you do in the postseason again on the road as well. So that's what I want.
Absolutely, Sean. To me, I think Anthony Davis, they need to shut him down the rest of the season. They need to be very cautious with Anthony Davis, Sean, because remember, before he was out for extended time, and maybe people were thinking it was a rupture Achilles, he missed some time. He was hurt, Sean. He was hurt. What were people saying? They were saying, oh, well, Frank Vogel rushed him back. He needed more rest. I think Anthony Davis, we don't need to see him until close to the playoffs. We don't need it. I think this Lakers team right now, we need to see them control at least a top 3 seed, continue to play well, particularly on the road, particularly in the Western Conference, where they have 17 victories and only 6 losses in the West, which is better than Utah right now, who's the number 1 seed. They need to continue to be pretty good, be a top 3 seed, and have Anthony Davis fully get healthy. If they rush him back, and this time he has an ACL, God forbid, or another serious injury, where do they go from there, Sean? Do you think that's being a little dramatic, having Anthony Davis rest until the playoffs?
I think it is, and I say that because you know, Anthony Davis, I understand not rushing him back. If you want to, you know, again, his expected return, you know, it's supposed to be next week or whatever it is. But you can give him an extra week off, a week and a half. I'm fine with that. You know, because he is kind of like your most important player besides LeBron James, obviously. But at the same time, you don't want him to be, you know, rusty coming into the playoffs. You got to play him, and just like you said, Jansen, you said you were concerned without Anthony Davis because of the 4-game losing streak. Look, LeBron is playing every game. He hasn't sat out one game this year. He's not doing a Kawhi low management. You know what I mean? Like LeBron's playing every game. So by saying that, you got to give, hey, if LeBron might need some rest as well. He said, you know, hey, I mean, you know, I don't care. I'm here to play games. It's what I do. I don't need rest. So at the same time, when you bring Anthony Davis back, hey, let LeBron rest 2 to 3 games. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to play all 72 games in this condensed season. So I feel like you bring Anthony Davis back, man. You got to get his feet wet again. You got to get his feet wet. You got to get him adjusted towards the team. Hey, just because the Lakers basketball, it doesn't mean there's a new game plan being infiltrated towards the organization and new schemes and things. Look, they might get another trade as well. So I feel like Anthony Davis, I think it's a little dramatic resting him until the playoffs. I will at least play him 20 games left, for the rest of the season. The season's halfway over, so I like what you said about not necessarily, keeping an eye on him, not rushing him back too soon. But at the same time, man, I mean, hey, the Western Conference is tough. If you go on another losing streak, you might need Anthony Davis. So I'll just say that.
Sean, before we wrap this up, and look, how do you feel about the idea? I think we should go on Facebook Live for a good maybe 15 minutes, break down the same Lakers topic, because people are going to want to hear this. What's your confidence level right now? I know it's looking down the road. Do you think the Lakers, are you confident they're the favorites still to repeat as champions?
I can't say favorites, man. I know we had a conversation a few weeks ago on this as well. Locks coming out, Locks making it to the finals. I can't say favorites because, man, we just don't know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? I want to continue to see more out of Marc Gasol. They don't have that physicalness of JaVale McGee, the Dwight Howard. You know what I mean? Marc Gasol, so he made some threes the other night, but I don't know if he got that dog in him. You know what I mean? Rebounding, dunking on guys, getting his points and rebounds. So we also know the Brooklyn Nets. They're the favorites. That's your team coming out the Eastern Conference. You know what I mean? If we want to talk winning the championship. So I can't say this. I can't say a lock right now winning the chip, but of course there'll definitely be, I think, a Western Conference at least, at the very worst, a Western Conference. So yeah.
Okay, Sean, appreciate the breakdown. We're going to start going live at least once or twice a week. Jansen Harris here with Sean Fowler. Go follow us on YouTube. This is YouTube live right now. We're going to start going on Facebook, Twitter. I'm about to upgrade subscription once this thing ends, okay? I'm just being transparent with you guys who are watching. Some are coming in, some are coming out. Thank you guys for watching. Sean, heck of a breakdown, especially on the Lakers, breaking down how we should feel about this team. Should we feel anxious? Is this team on the rise or are they falling? So I think, let's go to Facebook right now, do a little 10 to 15 minutes. That's cool with you.
Let's do it.